Welcome again to the NAACP Bear Branch Truth, Justice, and Us. Today we're going to be talking about an incident that happened everybody's aware of. It's the big talk. It's the big talk in Dover. To my right we have the man of the hour, Mr. Representative Jay Street, who always has something to say and he's passionate about the things that he talks about. And to his right we have Mr. Richard Mouse Smith, the Bear Branch president. How are you gentlemen doing?
Okay, Brother Bob's supposed to be here, so if he come in, we'll slip him in.
Okay. So, Mr. Street, we're going to jump right into it. The prison situation, it blew up into something that was very, very, had a lot of negative tones on the state of Delaware, but this thing came about after years and years of people complaining. And we all know you keep treating people bad, eventually they're going to lash out, you know. Okay, so how do you feel about this situation, or could it have been prevented?
Well, it's catastrophic, it's sad, and I think we all have a responsibility to work together to do whatever we can to reduce the likelihood of future occurrences. You know, I'm way out of my territorial domain here, and when we had the first press conference, I made it clear that basically during my 42 years of public service, this was an area that I had not been involved in, and unfortunately, I'm equally guilty of not being involved and not stepping up and leaving the reforms that need to be put in place to make the prisons better. Have not been involved, but at the point where we lose a life and we continue to know full well that there are ongoing problems that have to be addressed, I had to step up, and I'm willing and we're going to continue to work with those who have been working in the arena, because it's a multifaceted problem. Certainly the concerns that the guards raise in terms of not having enough people, having to work insurmountable hours of overtime, that's a problem. Yeah. It has to be addressed. In my opinion, of equal importance is the fact that we've got extraordinary overcrowding, and people can duck, play hide and go seek, and act like that's not a part of the problem. It's a major part of the problem. When you got 5 and 6 people in the cells that's built for 3, it's an automatic problem. And then you have the allegations of abuse being brought forward by the inmates, allegations of abuse being brought forward by family members, and to say that none of these things are happening and ignore them is just, it's an outrage at best. You have the complaints about the Muslims in the prison not being able to practice their religion. And people don't understand. When a man is incarcerated and you don't have what we have, those of us who are out have, you're going to turn to somebody for help. And so it's always very likely that, especially those who are incarcerated for a long period of time, they're going to turn to a higher power and try to find some relief. And so those who are in prison and have gotten deeply and intimately involved in religion, they have to have an opportunity to be able to practice their religion in an appropriate manner. And when they're not able to do that, that in and of itself brings about tension. And you can't have people saying that they have broken bones, they've got cancer, they've got other ailments. We've got extraordinary high level of mental health issues in the prison, and all these medical problems just can't be ignored. So when you've got all these things together, you have an ongoing potential for something to explode. And just because we had that situation this month, if nothing's changed, so it's a great possibility that something can happen again. So, you know, I'm happy to step forward, work with Mouse, Reverend Bullock, and others to do what I can to help alleviate and reduce the likelihood of there being future occurrences.
Okay, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We have some guests that are just arriving, and we'll be back to talk about this very, very important issue.
Yeah.
There's nothing that God can't do. He did it for me, he'll do it for you. He's no respect of person, no. He loves you just like he loves me. He'll take care of you just like he takes care of me. He'll hold you in the midnight. He'll hold you in the midnight. When you're crying all night long. He's gonna work it. He's gonna work it. Yes, he will. Hey. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Say it. Say it. Say it. Won't he do it? Won't he do it? I'm gonna do it. He promised he'd work it out. Yes, he did. For you. Yes, sir. He's gonna work it. Yes, he is. He promised he would work it. Yes, he will. He's gonna work it out. Yes, he is. There's no problem too hard for God. He's gonna work it out. Yes, he is.
Hello, we're back. Mr. Street, you was talking about these conditions, if they're not changed, something possibly could happen again. So what is your suggestion that we do immediately? Like, what's one of the things we can do now to help quell some of these issues?
Well, what I think needs to be done immediately, nobody's going to do, because the first thing we should have done when this happened is those inmates who are nonviolent offenders, who don't have the most serious charges, we need to immediately reduce the prison population. And we need to allow community representatives to go into the prisons, have conversations with the inmates, and have conversations with everybody involved to see what we can do immediately to address some of the major issues and concerns that they have. And that's one of the reasons, we, Reverend Bullock and Mouse and I, 4 of us sent, actually 5, sent the letter to the U.S. Attorney and the U.S. Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney for the District of Delaware asking for an investigation. We think that an unbiased outside investigation is warranted, and more importantly, the findings and the recommendations that should come from that to make a positive change should not be considered. But that's one of the reasons, and one of the reasons I wanted to be here tonight is to make clear we're having a hearing Friday night at Canaan Baptist Church. And that's going to be at, what time, Mouse? I can't
7
see.
o'clock.
At 7 o'clock. And we're asking family members and those who are concerned and those who have direct and indirect information to come out and let us know your concerns, let us know your issues, let us know the things that the system needs to know to make systemic changes. And there was a hearing last week in Dover for targeting the corrections officers, and that's fine. But the inmates, their families, their relatives, they need to be heard. And some of the scathing, outrageous accusations and allegations that are coming out of the prison, just as a result of the so-called riot, are horrendous, and they need to be put on the record. And then we can go forward with our process. And the process that we're going to take is that we're going to hear from everybody, we're going to get all the information we can, and we're also going to have a report and make recommendations for systemic change.
Miss Janice, I know you just joining the set, and
Yes.
you already know what the topic is. So,
Oh, yeah.
You have any insight or anything you would like to?
Let me go
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
First of all, it's Prison Reform Town Hall meeting, March the 3rd. It's going to be at Canaan Baptist Church, 3011 Newcastle Avenue. It's starting at 7 o'clock. And what we asking, not only are we asking inmates to come that have been in there, because it's bigger than this what's going on. It's probation pro involved, where those guys go to work, and if they don't want to work a certain place, they send them back. They send them back with stupid stuff. They talk to them like dogs and stuff like that. I know for a fact when they get to the prisoners, I got a big problem. How can you have people work at a place that's starting salary is $24,000 a year? In 10 years, they only made $28,000, and they getting 2-cent raises and 3 and 1 penny raises and stuff. And how can you then turn around and say we're going to give new correctional officers $14,000, $14,000 to add up to 37, but we're going to give the old ones $4,000 to keep them at 31 or 30? That's a slap in the face for those guys. And also I know that they should be in FOP, because the FOP lobbies, they got the stuff more, and they are policemen. They are law enforcement. The training need to be different, because Al Sharpton was on TV today along with a guy who looked at inmates in prison from New York and stuff, and he was basically saying that you take an inmate, you put him in jail for 30 years, and then you take an officer and you treat him like a dog by not giving him money, not giving him the right training, and not give him enough. You get, even some states give up 4 weeks of training or 6 weeks of training. Some states give up 12 weeks of training. And she'll talk about that more. But the concept is that we got to look at the whole concept. Governor Markell, for 4 years, myself, Muggsy, Omar, a bunch of us got together at the prison committee for the NAACP, for the state NAACP. We met with all these guys in charge, and we begged, and they say, Senator Larry, sign your name, Senator Larry. We send the information in, we texted, we email. They claimed they didn't get it, okay? Then we went back again, talked to Governor Markell again. They claimed they didn't get, they kept us out when we had Branch and C block and D block and B block that have a total of over 66 to 100 members. These members, these inmates send their money to NAACP, and when we check with NAACP, the state have not released that money, and they was not members. So Reverend Beeman, Reverend Perry, who's youth pastor for Reverend Beeman's church, got along with me, and we put the money up. We put the money up for 66 folks to be a part.
How come you didn't put my money up?
We also send authority to bylaws, and the bylaws of the NAACP basically say that the inmates, the NAACP, the prison branch, and the state and the correctional officers should work together to come up with better programs and work together to improve these guys through education, through stuff like that. No, it ain't happened. So when you have people who come in there and you got the Muslims who's fussing because they ain't getting the right food, they are not getting able to pray. Then you got the Christians that's getting everything and ain't being locked up. You got a problem. When you got young guys, I don't know how old the guy was, but he was sick, and he asked to see a doctor and everything, and they said put a slip in. And when they went to the cell, the guy had died. When you got guys with broken bones sleeping on the floor and stuff, take them out of the bed, put them on the floor. When you basically got a guy with two slices of bread that he got from the cafeteria because he was hungry, and they walk into the cell and they basically say, "Give me the bread. Now you're in the hole." When you got guys going to the hole for a year at a time, when Representative J.J. Johnson had to step in. Now, we also talked to Representative Smith and some others down to Dover about guys who got misdemeanors or who got charges don't mean nothing. Let them loose. Let them loose to a faith-based organization. Right. Let them loose to the Salvation Army. Let them loose. Put some houses up. Then you got to look at the prison. Then you got to look at the women's prison. There's a big problem over there and stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on, and the training for the officers is really not right. And when you get $24,000, $28,000, you got to work 1,000 hours a month overtime or more. You're tarred. Mm-hmm. You're tarred. 'Cause some of these corrections officers is on Section 8, and some of them qualified to get food stamps, and some of them borrow money because they can't pay their rent. Now over in New Jersey and Philadelphia and up in Pennsylvania and stuff, I think they start them off $50,000, $60,000.
We are the lowest paying. We are the lowest paying.
Yeah. So why are you going to put a policeman, I call him, and give them a stick, not even a stick, and stick them there with 600 inmates by themselves? Yeah. And they rule, and then you got the guys. It's a racial problem in there too. It's a problem. Excuse me,
you hit me now.
It's a problem.
I'm not incarcerated.
It's a problem between the officers, black and white. Oh yeah. You know what I mean? It's bad. So there's a lot of problem there. That's why we asked for the United States Attorney General and the District Attorney General to come in. The state cannot investigate this stuff. I do not trust the state when it came to racism in the state, when it came to the McDowell's case, when it came to all that. You know, we didn't get no results, and we kept the riots from happening in the streets this turn. They had peace after all that shooting and stuff. Yeah. We didn't have to burn no buildings down. We didn't do that. So when you don't pay attention to folks, you got a problem. Then you got some folks in there got 30 years and 37, and no, they ain't getting out. They don't have nothing to lose. Right. So you can't back them up to the wall.
Yeah.
All right,
so he's passionate. Mr. Smith is passionate like I am, and I like to hear that passion that he has. I want to shed light on some things. Our correctional staff are the most...
Explain your position.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I'm Janice Hubbard. I'm retired lieutenant from the Delaware Department of Corrections. I apologize for not giving the description as to who I am. I served the state of Delaware, over 24 and a half years before retiring. What I can say is that I know the inner workings. I know the job from the position of correctional officer and from the position of supervisor. And that gives me an edge, okay? Correctional staff are not valued. That's number one. They are law enforcement, but they're not treated that way. Management tend to just expect them to show up to work, and they have lives. They have issues. Many of the correctional staff that I've worked with, and even myself, in my early years, you know, violence in our personal lives, just different things that everybody else deals with. And there's no resources. The Department of Corrections is not family-oriented. It is not a family-based organization, okay? So if you have family needs, you're on your own trying to get that together. They expect you to show up for duty every day, and they expect you to be on time, and they expect you to do your 8-hour tour of duty. Now, you can get stuck for 16, you know, if someone doesn't show up. But what we have is a organization that as soon as the public or another system comes into play and says, okay, we need to help these prisoners, the focus is always just on the prisoners, but then you don't even keep that you provide stable and consistent. In order for this to turn and be better, what the leaders in the state are going to have to do, the General Assembly and those that are in the governor's office and otherwise, any organization that's been involved with the prison system, there has to be help for both the correctional staff and help for the prisoners, both groups of people. Both groups of people are in need. And rightfully, the way that I say it and look at it is you have traumatized people leading and supervising traumatized people. And the real issue is trauma. Though the prisoners that come into that incarcerated environment are people who have past traumas, unresolved trauma that stems from some abuse that they have not ever been able to work through. And the same goes for the correctional staff. And then you have an environment of correctional staff coming in. A lot of our staff are not spiritual people. You come into a spiritual environment, you better come with something good. If you ain't got nothing good, you getting ready to meet up with some things you might not even understand why you're experiencing the negativity that you're experiencing in your own personal life. Some of it has to do with that environment. You walk into an environment where there's people incarcerated for rape, murder, whatever. So those spirits, those spirits are in those people's lives. And it's not an everyday 9-to-5 job. It's not in any kind of job. It's a job where you have to come in and be a professional. And that is so lacking. Back in 2006, I was, the former church I belonged to over 20-something years, I made a commitment at the end of 2005 to dig into early morning prayer. So I began to press into early morning prayer. 5:30 a.m. I was at the church in my full uniform and on duty by 7:30 a.m. And I did that from the end of 2005 all through 2006. My initial reason for going ended up changing because God knows what he's doing. And in that process of that, it was beneficial. It was beneficial for my going into that environment. But we don't have strong values. Our staff are younger now. That's a new issue on the horizon. They're coming in younger, so you got to babysit them and then try to supervise and rehabilitate our prisoners. And you don't have time to babysit.
It's rehabilitation.
It's supposed to be rehabilitation, but we don't have that.
You have not did it for 20 years.
Oh, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I know. When I started the job, I worked for leaders that cared about people. And back in the 80s, those leaders, they're now gone. They're retired. But those leaders were people who cared. They showed us that day in and day out. We actually loved coming to work. I believe also that correctional staff, they do need better training, but the training has to go beyond what the academy teaches, and it's about having core values. And some of those core values is simple stuff like respect. The Bible tells us that. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And they come in and they don't do that.
You're talking about the initial training. Is there any ongoing training?
There's trainings that they have throughout the job that officers can take on their own personal time. But we have different kinds of mandatory trainings, but they're not enough to do what is needed, because then you've got to pull them out of their work environment to give them training. You got to have, one of the things that we've got to change, not just paying the staff more, because that's not going to solve the problem. You can look into the other states and see the same exact issues that we have, and they're making more money. That's not going to solve the problem, but it will help them, you know, financially. There are so many things that need to happen. I've got some things that I've written down that will be beneficial that I'd like to be presenting to corrections at some point, but there are so many things, because we've got to first address the inside of people so that they can do better on the outside. You're jacked up on the inside. You've got a bad attitude, and you come into this environment and you mistreat people that you don't even know. You don't even know where they've been.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
When the prisoners first started, they was in the correction group around the tri-state. It was supposed to be in that group. Then it was, I can't understand how come they in FOP where they get the right training. You know, when cops and police officers go through training,
we get the same training. Our trainings are very much the same. Yes. We train with guns. We train with a lot of the same things the police have. The difference is we just can't carry that inside the facility.
No, I ain't talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about when I seen them train, and I seen my family members down there who worked as officers and stuff through the training. It was completely different down in Dover compared to what the police was getting?
Well, I imagine the police get somewhat of a different training as far as, well, when I say we get some of the same training, I'm talking about like the weapons and different things that pertain to that.
carrying
and
people
fire
over
training,
there.
we do fire training, we do training where I forget what we call that, where we're actually physical, where we're actually doing stuff to be able to learn defensive tactics.
You know, and they have a hostage
what it's
team.
called.
They have a hostage team at the prison.
Yeah.
And I know years ago, back in '67, out to the prison was on Price's Corner.
Mm-hmm.
When the riots took off there, they used tear gas.
Yeah, we have tear gas.
And then they went with big sticks and they went clean out.
Yeah.
My understanding is that they could have went in early, but they were stopped. Okay, they were stopped from going there. And then the state troopers took over, and then they went in the back of the building and they bust the wall down. And those guys had put water in the lockers and stuff.
Yeah, you're talking about down at James T. Vaughn, yeah.
And they was repaired for it, but it could have been stopped earlier if they had just let your hostage division take it over.
Well, I'm not sure about the hostage part, but I can tell you that we have CERT. We have our tactical team is CERT, and they're just like SWAT. They train continuously. And the way that they had that set up when I was still working at Howard R. Young, we had CERT on duty everywhere. They're assigned to every shift. So if something jumps off during the course of the shift, they're there. And then they would call others to come on board to join them. So I do understand that they had CERT there, but I don't know why they didn't utilize them. They're just as skillful as SWAT. Trust me, they're very elite, very skilled, very particular.
And one more thing. The prison underground stuff that get out.
Oh, yeah.
If we know about what was going on for the last 4 years, the people in charge had to know. And I don't understand why they didn't take it serious, because we know out on the street that everything was going on. I have a letter that's about 10 pages, Doc.
Yeah.
And it came 2 days after it happened, and the guy gave us a whole breakdown on what's going on and stuff.
Well, I think that one of the issues is when we have prisoners committing suicide, when we have correctional staff committing suicide inside a facility, you got to know it's time to deal correctly. I can't recall the year, but I know that whatever year it was, it's been within the past several years at least. We had on January 1st, 2 prisoners to commit suicide at James T. Vaughn in the same day, 12 midnight to 8 shift, and then one of them committed suicide, and then 8 a.m. to 4, another committed suicide at James T. Vaughn. And I also understand that an officer committed suicide there either the same day or within that week. This was the first day of the year these 2 guys checked out. And we're familiar with one of them, Jermaine Wilson.
How you doing, Pastor?
Fine, how you doing?
Doing great.
Excuse me for being late. I overslept. Had a long day at the church.
Tires must have been good today.
He was hopped around today. He was getting there today.
Yeah, the spirit was high.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, this little young 16-year-old.
right.
Yeah, he got on that organ.
Yeah.
That brother made everybody get up.
We had 3 services today. And,
Oh, praise God.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be here.
Yes, sir.
And I want to thank my colleagues in the fight and struggle for coming tonight and you having us. This is a very serious issue.
Very serious.
I think it is the issue of the day for our state. I want to invite everyone to come out this Friday at the Canaan Church at 7 o'clock. We've heard from the correction officers. Senator Marshall had a hearing this week. It's important that the community gets an opportunity to speak
Absolutely.
and to be heard. We're going to gather the data. Eventually we'll have a report. And we don't believe the state can investigate itself.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely
sure
not.
they've covered that. We've released a letter to the U.S. Attorney and the Attorney General. We're very serious about this, and we're moving forward. this is a very critical issue. People are concerned about the correction officers. They're concerned about the state of the prisons. They're concerned about conditions. And this is nothing new. We worked on this issue in 2005, 2006, around some of the medical circumstances. Again, the state chose to select to analyze itself, to investigate itself. Mm-hmm. We said no. We went to Washington. Department of Justice came in and found 87 civil rights violations. Have things changed? That's what we want to know. Secondly, here's the core issue. If the state is going to be the Department of Corrections, let's invest in corrections.
Yes, we all agree.
Or it's going to be Department of Punishment. You can't do both.
So far, it's been the Department of Punishment.
So if it's the Department of Corrections, we need to correct.
Yep, absolutely.
Rehabilitate. We need education, vocation. We're not asking for early reduction of sentencing. We're not asking for early release.
All right.
We're asking for fair and humane treatment of those brothers and sisters, many of whom will come out.
Absolutely.
And the issue is, thirdly, will they come out as assets to the community or liabilities? We want them to be assets. We mourn the loss of Officer Floyd. I understand his family has hired an attorney. They're doing some interesting work on that side. We're looking at corruption in both camps. We're also looking at solutions. Yes. The town hall meeting will be a time for people to vent and to talk about their concerns of their loved ones. But eventually we're going to have to talk about solutions.
Yes.
And it needs to encompass all people.
Yeah.
It's going to have to come from the citizens. It's going to have to come from the inmates. It's going to have to come from the government.
Yeah.
Faith-based.
Right.
It can't be one person trying to take it. It has to be everybody.
It's a comprehensive problem. It's a myriad of issues. Therefore, it needs to be a comprehensive approach to solutions.
Absolutely. You know, the last time it happened, I think about 20 or 30 years ago, the Wilmington 7. And from the Wilmington 7, a lot of them were still in jail. And a couple of them died in jail, but they still in jail. And it was an attack on the officers again before, and they were supposed to change then, 30 years ago. They did come in with education. They did come in with doing cars, fixing cars up, redoing fronts and stuff. All once they were getting degrees. I understand they were getting their bachelor's degrees, and they was doing everything then. All that was wiped out. So, you know, when you got guys bipolar, ADA.
Why you look at me when you say that?
Because you are. And when you got guys who came,
I'm gonna stay out of that.
Yeah, when you got guys who came from broken families, then when you got guys in Howard, young guys upstairs, 13, 14, 15 years, they stayed, and when they reach 18, they come downstairs and they holler for their mama, and these kids don't know nothing. They just know die or be died. Either I'm going to die on the streets or I'm going to die here. Like she say, there's a new kind of prisoner in there. And I'm saying right here that the guys, whoever did that, need to be punished. We ain't upholding nothing. We just want it right, okay? And I'm saying that Jay was talking about, I was talking to Jay about locking them up in school at the young age, or pulling them out of school, have them go down to the corners, have them either selling drugs or getting their hands on guns and stuff at early age, 13, 14, 15 years old, and then they wind up over young. And the young guy I know, he was a young cousin of mine, he was 17 years old. He had a gun, he was staying in the alley, the cops came past, and my understanding, he never raised a gun, but they gave him 39 years.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, the first time we knew that there's a potential for a young man to end up going into the criminal justice system is the first time he or she got suspended in school. So when I stand up and I holler about the school to prison pipeline, the system has failed the predominance of those inmates from beginning to end.
Right.
It's a failure to educate in initial school, and then when they get to prison, it's a failure to educate and rehabilitate. And then we purposely and intentionally, systemically, those who want to do right by man, God, and country when they're released, we bring them out with both hands tied behind their back, with no education, with a felony conviction, and classic example. Okay, one of my kids, him and his brother decided to stick up the pizza man. They were in Ferris. They went to Ferris, served their time. Okay, one comes out, wants to go to school. I got to fight this to get him an alternative school. He got to go to alternative school, be a perfect model child, go to high school. He did that. Graduates on the honor roll. Goes to apply to Del Tech. Can't get financial aid because he's a convicted felon.
Right.
Yep.
Now, I seen him and I said, son, are you out here slinging? He said, Miss Street, I don't want to be out here slinging no more than you want me out here. But mom put me out because I'm not in school and I don't have a job. I got to eat just like you. You can't even give me a job down in the center, being the janitor. Get the out my face. Well, see, that don't go away from me. Now I got to hope and pray that he gets locked up before he gets shot. That's not unique to him. Okay? And that's one of the younger people. So what happens? You 40, you 50 years old, you come out, you haven't been educated, you haven't been rehabilitated. The likelihood systemically, and we cause that, of you having to return to crime just to survive is very, very high. And I'm saying all that to say, at the end of the day, all this is about money.
That's
It's
right.
about money,
That's
and
correct.
it's about resources.
Yep.
And we failed to put the resources and money necessary to educate, rehabilitate, and to keep folks safe.
Exactly.
Now, the other is everybody don't need to be no prison guard.
Right.
All right, there's certain jobs for certain people. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I told you when I took this on, said I'll work with you. I'll work with you, I'll write letters, I'll advocate. I ain't going into the jail.
No, you ain't.
All right? But let me tell you why. Last time I was in there, no, I walk in the door and you going, first of all, you standing over there looking like you need to be shooting marbles. Okay? You're nothing but a baby to me. And you going to come out your mouth and talk to me a certain way? Oh, no. I don't like, my daddy ain't talk to me like
I
that.
know that's right.
Okay? So generally, the penalty for disrespect with me is overwhelming. All right? And so this ain't a place for me to visit because I'm going to fool around and I'm going to get a
Get where you
charge
at.
just trying to get in and say hi. So it's best for me not to go. My point being, the inmates repeatedly say, not only do they mistreat me, but when my significant other comes, my family comes, my kids come, they mistreat,
us
disrespect
and-
them.
yeah.
The penalty for disrespect is overwhelming and it's harsh with anybody who cares about somebody taking the time to come see them. Right. And see, I'm mad at you forever about that, the way you talk to my significant other. And ain't nothing you can do for me but stay out my face. Now we have all these scathing accusations about people being beat up, people being tased, people having their head flushed in the toilet. All these things are supposedly, they're plucked out of the air. I don't think so.
No, they're not.
Handcuffs
I don't think so.
Handcuffs for 24 hours.
Well, all of these stories are coming from different people,
But they say.
but it's the same thing.
Yep.
And I don't think everybody got in a room and concocted a conspiracy theory.
Absolutely.
Experiences.
There's some truth and some proof in this. I agree with Jay wholeheartedly.
Yep.
If we invest on the front side in education, society will reap, kids will reap, families will reap.
That's right.
on the backside, but a failure to invest on the front side. Now we get what we have.
Now we get what we have. But we also have to put it, there's resources that just ain't linked up to each other. I find that in just dealing with general issues out here in the public, like with the homeless. I mean, we have to link the resources up for when people to come out of the prison environment, there's resources are there.
I have a quick question.
But let me say this while I'm thinking about it, and I'll try to stay out of it. You know, when the system sends at least 1, 2, 3 of us the message that people in high authority are mad at us, well, you know, if you're mad because we're advocating for the people that we have, as far as I'm concerned, responsibility for those of us who have benefited from the struggle and those of us who really care about people, we have a responsibility.
That's right.
To he who is given much
Much
is
required.
required.
That's
Amen.
right.
Now, if you're mad about that, brace yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, because at the end of the day, we never said that we didn't want to work with you, and our efforts don't have to be mutually exclusive. But at the end of the day, we can be your best friend, or we can be your worst nightmare.
Right.
Okay, you sitting in the chair, that's up to you. Okay, but we have never said that these efforts need to be mutually exclusive. But don't send your little henchmen to me talking about somebody's mad at me. It's nothing new about somebody being mad at me. Okay, as a matter of fact, when you do what I do, the way I do it, if you're not making somebody mad, you're not doing your job.
Amen.
And then again, we never
Yes,
gave
sir.
blame to
Anybody.
anybody. Because we know it happened before that person even got on. He happened to walk into something very bad. Because nobody schooled him on what was going on. Not even a new commissioner didn't pull him to the side and say, we got all these
But
problems.
see, I'm gonna tell it all
You know?
because when I got reelected, I ain't changed my phone number.
Yeah.
So don't blame me.
Right.
I have a question. You were in the system, and maybe you guys can answer. We know that the amount of money that's spent per prisoner, and we see overcrowding. And so financially, the resources is there. Why aren't the programs there?
The programs are not there for long-term prisoners. I was told that there's no money for programming for long-term prisoners, and that's not cool because James T. Vaughn houses a lot of long-term prisoners. It's the one facility in the state of Delaware that houses long-term prisoners. That's where they go, lifers and long-term prisoners. Those guys don't need to sit idle. If they don't have enough staff there, they're going to be behind. They're going to be in their cells or in their housing area and not outside being able to play ball, do something constructive, or go to a job and work. Everything is limited inside. If there were programs available for them, they would be limited to get to those programs if there's a staffing issue. So that's what is a big issue. That right there is the kid and caboodle of everything.
So it still goes back to the funding is there, it's just not being distributed.
No, there's no.
properly.
They say there's no funding.
It's been under-resourced.
Yeah.
Staff-wise, it's been under-resourced. Medical-wise,
Oh, yeah.
it's been under-resourced. Rehabilitation and education-wise, and that was intentional.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
because you know the overwhelming view of the majority of key critical decision makers is that prisoners and the prisons don't matter.
That's right.
Yes.
And when I went to the budget hearing last couple of years for the prison, it wasn't about the inmates, it was about brick and mortar. It was about adding more cement and adding more steel, okay? That's where the money went. It didn't go to the officer company. Y'all got 2% raise
Yeah,
or
the
1%
2%
raise.
stuff,
It didn't go to them. It went to brick and mortar because they said they can justify brick and mortar, Ben. They can justify programs and giving raises and stuff.
See, the other thing
That's deep.
that makes this group unique is that all of us have embraced Matthew 25.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh yes.
As you've done unto the least of these,
Yes.
And me also.
you've done also unto me.
Right.
Visit the sick, clothe the
Matthew
naked,
25.
How about
embrace the
Hebrews
stranger,
13?
Yeah.
and visit
Don't forget them in prison.
the
Hebrews
prison.
13.
All right, I ain't going in.
You visit.
I'll go for you.
You can
Mr.
feed the hungry. We'll go in.
I know it's too many folks.
Yeah.
We want me to stay
Yeah,
for a
that's
long period of
Yeah.
time.
But let me say also again, I'm requesting, encouraging the community to come out this Friday at 7 o'clock. Canaan Baptist Church, 3011 Newcastle Avenue. Let your voice be heard. A lieutenant will be there to share her unique perspective, and Miles from the NAACP Bear chapter, and Jay and all of his experience, and we'll have others who will be sharing, Dwight Holden and a lot of people. Mayor Seal stopped me in church today. He's putting together a white paper. He's that interested.
Mayor Seals.
See, there are people who want to see this resolved.
It's time.
It's time for the people to be heard. But after we're heard, we have to put forth credible solutions.
Oh, yeah.
We've got to
And
make
we're
a
gonna do it.
report,
Yeah.
and we've got to make viable recommendations. And there's going to be a need for partnership.
That's
So,
right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We need
Partnership
to
is
stop
big.
talking about each other
Yeah.
and start talking to each
That's
other.
right.
That's
That's right.
correct. That's correct.
And
I
it's
believe
gonna
that
it's going to take more than us.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be, and for those of you who think don't have nothing to do with you, you ain't in jail, you've never been in jail, but see, when your son gets locked up and you worrying about where he is, and you call one of us, then it touches you. Okay, don't wait till it touches you to be concerned and get involved, because none of us are immune.
That's right.
From
None of us.
the prospect of either being incarcerated, being arrested, or having someone near and dear to us being in a similar situation.
That is
And
correct.
you know, sometimes folks go to jail for things they've done. There's other folks who've gone to jail for things they haven't done.
That's right.
That's correct.
And I think it was at 11 o'clock service today.
Yeah.
I asked the congregation, how many of your family members are incarcerated? Almost every hand in there went
I
up.
mean, your
Oh,
family.
wow.
I mean, your family members got AIDS.
How many family been impacted by HIV and AIDS?
Yeah.
Hands went up.
Oh, wow.
How many family members are impacted by addiction? Hands went up.
Education. hands
Education,
went up.
hands went up. So there's a lot of stuff we have to deal with. And to Jay's point, this issue has touched everybody. Be it Canaan this Friday at 7 o'clock. We want to hear you. We want to talk about it. And we thank you for having us.
Let me do this right quick. I got a couple things for you guys I'd like to give you for Black History Month. Okay, I got a paper that I picked up called The Scoop. It talks about 7 black presidents.
Oh, wow.
Okay? I'll pass it down. And
Thank you.
here you go. There you go, young lady.
Thank you.
I got a Black History calendar for each one of you guys
Thank you,
from the
brother.
Bear Branch of
Thank you.
NAACP.
You're very generous.
Yes,
And,
very.
I got one more in the car.
Thank you.
I'll give you one to the car, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I got cups for you guys from Bear
I like
Champ
coffee
and
mugs.
All right.
Thank you.
Christmas in
And-
February.
Yeah, really.
And
Thank you so much.
Bola.
Thank you, my brother.
I
Thank you.
owe you one. There you go, blue cup. I got another one for you. That's yours. And what I'm saying that I appreciate people. I appreciate the work that God gave me to do. I try to get out of this stuff, and I get depressed and get everything else. Next thing I know, I'm on somebody's case. Okay. I think that you guys, when I call and tell you, come on and help me, like I called Jay first, he said call Doc. Okay. I got with Doc. I called some more people, Muggsy and them. The whole concept is that we are the keepers of our community, of the black community. And down to the prison, it was whites involved and Spanish involved.
Right,
So
right.
we ain't gonna make it a black thing.
Right.
It's a
No.
people,
It's
humanitarian
a humanity,
thing.
it's a
Right.
humanity
So Doc
thing.
and Jay and Ron, and meeting you for the first time, I appreciate you. When that one tear go down your eye like Martin Luther King, remember, God's on your side.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me take us all out just very briefly. and I told the victim via text yesterday, you know, basically I got thrown off course this week because of the situation with the kids at AI, and that's not over, but got thrown off course. But I don't want anybody to think that the state police sicking a dog
let's get on
Right.
that.
on a
Yes.
female
That's right.
in my council district in front of her grandmom's house in the presence of her 7-year-old child.
Oh, my
Don't
Lord.
think that's going to go away.
It's
right.
not going
Okay?
away.
Because it's just starting. And when the victim asked the officer when everything got calmed down, I understand this and I understand that, but why did you sick the dog on me? And he had the unmitigated gall to tell her, because you live in a dangerous neighborhood. Oh, see, I am going to do everything I can within the legal parameters of the law to see to it that we break this foolishness up before it starts. Now,
Yep.
I gave the Attorney General, asked him to intervene a week ago, okay? And I gave him a week. Well, you know, tomorrow we're going to start a new paper trail. So I just don't want anybody to think I'm sleeping the switch and I come on here one Sunday and say something that they didn't know. And I'm going to deal with everything all at once. Lord, don't put more on you what you can carry.
Yes, sir.
But the situation with the kids being quadruple punished
Right.
for not even fighting, the situation with this lady getting bit by this dog in these prisons, I'm gonna I'm gonna work with everybody to the very best of my ability, and at the same time, I got an agency to run with 200 kids and 45 staff every day.
Yes,
We
sir.
also got a team of lawyers. We got a team of lawyers can deal with the dog biting. We got a team of lawyers specialized in education, special ears. We got things we can work with. And if me and Jay hook up, and you Doc, guess what? It's a different ball game.
Well,
You
and,
can
and
count
I'm
me
gonna
in.
say it one more time, and
Count
folks
me in.
get tired of me saying it.
I'm hooking up.
But if a black trooper has sicked a dog on a white woman in this state,
He'd be in
everything in this state would have stopped, and they would have did everything they could to see to it that he would have got from here on and now on for doing that. Well, you're not going to treat ours any different than you treat your own.
It's called the Delaware way.
And for I'm sorry to have an African American superintendent sit there and play Silent Night and play hide and go seek on this. You need to understand that a whole lot of people got bit by those dogs, and a whole lot of people actually died for you to be in the position that you're in. If you're not going to do nothing about this, then all that struggle was a waste of time, and I have a problem with you continuing to serve.
It's the Delaware way. When they tell you let Delaware investigate this stuff, it's Delaware. And remember, Delaware was the first Southern slave state.
Yes.
Okay? And Delaware way mean that they ain't gonna go no place.
It's not going anywhere.
That they gonna wait till we get quiet. They gonna wait till we ain't saying. They're gonna get people to go against us. They're gonna get people to put us down. They're gonna get people to talk about us. They're gonna do the Jim Crow. At the end, they're gonna try to take your credibility away from you, and then people don't want to listen to you. But God got away.
Yes.
You know, God got away with you, Doc, with the library, everything you did, you, Jay. God got away when evil push you down.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness take you up, okay? They can't do nothing to me. I'm old too, but they can't do nothing. They can't do nothing for Jay. They can't do nothing for you. We are independent.
And we free black men.
Free.
As Doc very well
very
knows,
free.
out of the night that troubles me, black as a pit from pole to pole.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul.
All y'all preaching tonight?
All right, Miss Janice, we're almost at the end. You have anything you want to lift up?
I just, you know, I'm thankful for the opportunity to come in and get my arms in, my shoulders in, my sleeves rolled up. I'm ready to get it on. I'm ready to deal with some stuff. There's a lot of things I have on, you know, that have been going on for quite some time, personally, that tie into everything you're talking about, even to what Mr. Street just said. I mean, I got all of that. I got some history.
Okay.
And it's, you know, and I'm not afraid to throw it out there because it's my life. It's my journey. It's real. And you know, it'll shed light on, just because I've been in law enforcement, I'm not untouched. I've experienced life in all of its facets, while I served this state. I was a victim of violence while I served this state. So it's, you know,
Okay.
yeah.
Mouse, 15 seconds.
This, pay attention what's going on. And just anything you hear, whatever, come and tell your story. Because, you know, truth can't stay in the darkness.
Oh, yeah.
Let it come out of darkness. We just want you to come and tell your story. We want everybody to be a partner in this. Because at the end of the day, it's about the state of Delaware and people live in the state of Delaware. And we as black folks just got to be able to say, I love each other instead of hating each other.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
Mr. Street?
To the kids that they are, to their parents, to those who are incarcerated, courage, brothers, do not stumble, though the path be dark as night. There's a star to guide the humble, trust in God and see the light.
I'd basically like to say that, you know, we talk about a lot of issues with the prison and the schools and everything, but I truly believe if we can correct the school systems
Yes.
and community centers, the prison system
It can be.
will lose the numbers
Oh, yeah.
because now they don't have the people.
Absolutely.
You know, so this all as a community, let's be proactive and stop being reactive to
Amen.
everything. Pastor,
You're going to close us out.
you're
I
gonna
look,
close us out.
I look to see you Friday night at Canaan Baptist Church. Your voice matters. Your experience matters. We cannot do it without you. God is a God of truth,
Yes, it is.
and the truth will set you free. And we are free black men and women who speak the truth. We'll see you Friday night.
Okay, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace.